Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the Ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
I want you to, if you would, please close your eyes. Well, wait a minute. If you're driving, just close one. And imagine, if you would, the face of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And I'm sure now, you see her face? You see her face in your mind's eye? Okay. She single-handedly has put an end to dumb blonde jokes. Morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith and God Bless America, followed by a patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance on a Wednesday. Think about it. It'll come to you. There you go. There you go. And a good morning to you and yours. Zeb at the Ranch, I'm Zeb Bell, and welcome aboard, everybody, as we fly to 11 o'clock this morning with our talk show, with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you absolutely with all your safe driving tires. You check it out today. Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. And, of course, don't forget some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you getting back to being you. Right now, let's go to the phone line and have our Pledge of Allegiance. Come on, good morning.
Don't pay the ransom I've escaped. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You better call back in later on, because you've been lax the last couple of days there, my friend.
God bless.
All right, take care. Don't pay the ransom I've escaped. I love that one. Oh, it's been my life the last 24 hours. Let me tell you, it's been a zoo. And I must be the head monkey they're throwing peanuts at, I'll tell you that. Hey, the weather forecast brought to you by K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 west of Hayburn. And they're right there on the Burley-Paul Highway waiting to serve you. It's springtime, and they've got all your gardening and lawn equipment. I mean, rototillers, vroom, dig everything up, and they got all the lawnmowers. They've got everything for you. Get on in there, and if you're not sure what you need, all you have to do is give them a call. Talk to them. Roger and the crew can help. 678-3122, K&R Rental. Here's Gina with the weather.
It appears that a storm system is moving into the valley and might be sticking around for a couple of days. Here's a look at your weather forecast. For today, partly sunny skies, expecting a high of 79, winds out of the south at about 7 miles an hour. For tonight, isolated thunderstorms, mostly cloudy skies in the early evening hours. We are expecting a low of 52. For tomorrow, those clouds are going to stick around. We do have a 30% chance of showers off and on throughout the day with a high of 72. Definite rain showers for tomorrow night, about a 90% chance. Temperatures dropping to about 44. Then for Friday, mostly cloudy skies, 70% chance of rain with a high of 54. And then hopefully for Saturday, we might see a little bit of sunshine, partly sunny, and a high of 60. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Well, I hope so. Thank you, Gina. She does a fantastic job on our weather. We appreciate it. Hey, by the way, the best of tools and equipment right there at K&R Rental. 256 South, 600 west of Hayburn. You can't miss them. They're right there on the Burley-Paul Highway. And again, if you have questions about finishing a project, you're not sure what you need, call them at 678-3122, K&R Rental. Really good people. Now, again, I already had a call this morning, early. Lunch Bunch is not tomorrow. I've said it, 573 times. Next week on the 23rd, Lunch Bunch. Don't forget that at Denny's Restaurant. 611 North Overland in Burley. And, of course, menu changes, new additions. Oh, my. You've got to get over there and check out all the pancakes and the omelets and all the salads, delicious salads, and those strawberry crepes. Oh, wow. For breakfast. Unbelievably delicious at America's Diner. Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley, and another location at 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. And next week on the 23rd, don't forget, we are going to have Lunch Bunch at Denny's. Don't miss it. Real quick reminder, too, about our friends over at Ramsey Heating and Electric, and they're located at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Number to call, write down this number because you never know, you might need them in a hurry. Give them a call, 678-0459. They're open 7:30 to 5 Monday through Friday, and they have all your heating, cooling, and electrical needs, all your filters for your air conditioners to keep you cool this warmer weather coming on, everything right there at Ramsey Heating and Electric. Over 6 decades of serving you in Burley. 678-0459. Ramsey Heating and Electric. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. How you doing?
I'm doing really good, Seb. You know, because I had some real good news yesterday, and I want to share it with all my veteran friends. And that is, when Obama was president, he came out with a choice program through the VA, and that was that if you lived within 40 miles of the nearest clinic, you had to go there to get your treatment. But if you were more than 40 miles, then you could choose your own doctor. That was his big squawk was, hey, you can choose your own doctor now.
Okay.
Well, he came out with this choice program, but left out one thing. There never has been any funding for it until President Trump finally found a way to get us some help.
Well, and the thing is, Keith, let me jump in here for a minute. A lot of people, and I mean this when I say this, and if it offends somebody, that's okay too. Trump does not get all the thank yous and the accolades and the attaboys that he deserves. I mean, he has followed up on many programs that were lax through the Obama administration and even previous administrations, and there's been a lot of good things that have been signed and put back into effect and or law. And I'm sick and tired of the news media, the Democrats, everybody just kind of ho-hum and shining it on, and he never gets any praise.
That's true. But the one thing about it, with that program, it really helped a lot of vets.
Absolutely.
Me, I live 40 1/10 mile from the Twin Falls Clinic.
Yeah.
And this is according to MapQuest and Google. They say, no, you live 37 miles. And I said, how do you come up with that? As the crow flies.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have any crows, and I don't fly, so therefore it didn't help me any. And yesterday, it finally got the news that on June 6th of this year, all veterans will receive this benefit.
Absolutely.
And it is, if you live within 30 miles of or 30 minutes, now they're minutes, from the clinic, you can choose your own doctor.
All right, Keith, I appreciate the information, and I know our vets do too. And we thank you for your call on this subject this morning. Got to pay some bills, and call us back later on. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You bet.
Thank you. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. I got to tell you what we're going to be doing with these folks on Thursday. Every other Thursday, we're going to be highlighting, saluting, and learning more about the people that are there serving you and how they serve you, how they can help you at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. All your aching and paining, it can stop. Absolutely. With the best of people headed up by Nick Greenwell and his staff, and the hydrotherapy pool, all the exercises, everything at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, 678-1191. Also, a big shout out to our friends at Rain for Rent. Hello, Jake. I'm telling you, I said the other day how busy everybody is this time of the year, and I mean it's a hubbub of activity, and they're no different. As a matter of fact, they're leading the pack. Rain for Rent, and they're located at 134 South, 600 West of Paul, and the number to give them a call, 438-5065. Reinke Diamond Dealer. They are the cream of the crop, creme de la creme, and waiting to serve you with a dedicated sales and service staff at Rain for Rent. Don't forget, and oh, by the way, too, they've got those telemetry annex boxes for any pivot, and you can run them right through your cell phone. Holy moly, technology way above me. Give them a call, find out more. Rain for Rent with Jake and the crew, 438-5065 over in Paul. All right, your turn. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. It's the Yummy Man with the menu for the Burley Senior Center. For today, it's roast beef and mashed potatoes and gravy, vegetables, and cake with your choice of frosting.
You know, Joe, roast beef and mashed taters, that is, and it should be, dubbed as the all-American dinner.
Yes, sir.
All right. And if they want to buy a lunch to take to their office, what do they do?
Just call in, and for $5, it'll be ready when they get there.
All right, Joe Taylor, thank you very much. God bless you, Mr. Yummy Man. We appreciate it.
Yeah, they serve from 12 to 1.
All right, Joe. Thank you. Have a great day. Thank you, sir.
Appreciate you.
You betcha, buddy. Thank you very much. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Wow. I don't even know where to start on this one this morning. Beto O'Rourke. This guy, Robert Francis O'Rourke, he's a loser. If somebody out there in the audience, honestly, and I'll be so polite and so nice and so charming and everything else until it makes me almost sick, if you really like this guy and you would like to see him be the Democratic nominee, please call me and come on the air, because I've never seen or listened to or watched anybody in politics that is more disturbed than he is. He's a psychoanalyst heaven. I mean, the guy is nuts. I watched portions of him on that disgusting talk show on television called The View with Joy Behar and the rest of them. And you talk about a man that's disturbed. You talk about a man that is apologetic. You talk about a man that is absolutely a wuss and a disgusting example of where men have gone down the drain. That's him, Beto O'Rourke. And then apologizing for everything he's done in his past. Apologizing for the way he raised his kids or didn't raise his kids. Apologizing for this, apologizing for that. Apologizing for being white. Think about this, and please call me. What kind of a absolutely diminished, distraught, and not worthy leader would he be? Here's a guy that wants to apologize and basically kiss up and say, I'm sorry, please forgive me, accept me, to everything and everybody for every occurrence. That's not a leader. That's not a leader that's going to say, hey, look, here we are. This is the game. This is the play. This is what we're going to do. Follow me, boys. We're going to go to victory. Not him. Now, I realize that he's way down in the opinion polls, and they say that he's going to have to rework and re-emphasize some of his strong points. I got to laugh because I don't know what they would possibly be. But there's a shining example of why men today are not respected. It's because there's no leadership. We had a guest on the program yesterday, a guy by the name of Stefan Arnio, and he was talking about his book about how men need to be men and start acting like men again. And absolutely it was a fact. Beto O'Rourke is nothing more than a wussy piece of milk toast. Worthless. And absolutely not a leader worth any title whatsoever. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. It hurts me to say this, but, you know, when you think about the other Democrats, and you think about, what are there, 22, 23, 97, 109, whatever, running right now for the possible nomination, many of which they should have stayed home and just watched the news instead of staying or putting their name on the docket. But, you know, there's a lot of women that are running for the same nomination that show many, many, many more leadership qualities than Beto O'Rourke. What a pathetic person. Don't forget Ark Animal Hospital at 750 21st Street near Connection Credit Union in Heyburn. And, of course, Dr. Bill and the whole crew, let me tell you something. They really, really care about your animals, your puppy dogs, kitty cats, dairy cattle, horses, everything. It's the time, by the way, I've been telling you this every day, deworm those horses. Absolutely. You want them in good shape for use this summer. And there's lots of ticks and flies out there. Take care of that. Ark Animal Hospital can give you the answers. So get a hold of them today. Ark Animal Hospital, 750 21st Street, near Connection Credit Union in Heyburn. Number to call, 678-1177. They do have the warm hearts for the cold noses. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. Are you sure you weren't talking about Mayor Pete also?
I have nothing decent at all to say about Pete Buttigieg. And anybody that comes on my program to praise him or whatever, I am going to go after like a dog after a cat. I find him to be despicable. I find him to be a liar, a fraud, and a charlatan. And I find him to be anti-religious with his comments, and I have no use for him. Now, what else do you want me to say?
That he acts like a girl?
No. Pete Buttigieg is a waste of time, effort, and space, and absolutely shouldn't be running for anything.
He's a very soft-spoken person, and his ideas are way out there. He shouldn't even be mayor, I think.
Well, there's just disgusting qualities about his lifestyle, disgusting qualities about what he says, disgusting qualities about what he tries to perpetrate as he's so great and so humble. When I look at him on television, I agree with Donald Trump. I think Donald Trump, our president, hit it right on the head. If for those that remember back in the 60s, 70s, etc., Mad Magazine, he looks just like Alfred E. Newman.
Yeah, and can you imagine him being confronted by Putin?
No.
Chew him up and spit him out in a minute.
Well, the same with Beto O'Rourke. I mean, there's just some people that are running for the possible nomination they should be basically working, I don't know, as a soda jerk someplace. They're not qualified. Keith, I appreciate it, but don't ever bring his name up on my program again. He's persona non grata.
You got it.
All right, thank you. Pete Buttigieg. Ay, ay, ay. And the Democrats, they fawn all over him. Caller, I'll be right there. Don't forget Ramsey Heating and Electric. And, of course, Lennox with their home comfort systems offering up to $1,700 in rebates on new systems. All you got to do is check it out. Call Ramsey Heating and Electric today at 678-0459. And terms and conditions apply. See the dealer for details. Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox Home Comfort Systems. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Well, good morning, Zeb. You know, he wants to tear down what wall we have. Obviously, he doesn't read the Constitution. Says Article 4, Section 4 says that they take an oath to protect us and against invasion. And we're being invaded. I mean, big time now. I guess the number of people coming illegal across the border, what part of illegal don't they understand?
Well, let me ask you a question right there, Adrian. Are you referring to Buttigieg or are you referring to Mr. Wussification, Beto O'Rourke?
I'm looking O'Rourke.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't want any borders. He doesn't want any walls. He wants everybody to come in here to the United States. Oh, it's a great big utopia. We're going to give them everything. We're going to provide health care. We're going to have all the housing, all the sanitation. We're going to have all the food, all the education. Oh, we're going to be big, happy families singing Kumbaya, gathered around an enormous fire. Oh, it's going to be wonderful, Adrian.
Yeah, you know, it's sad that we've reached this point, but also in the process we're trying to turn our patriarchal society into a matriarchal society.
Yes.
So obvious.
Yes. You know, wait a minute. Just stop right there. You said that very well. I have never in my life seen such a bunch of absolute losers as there are projected on the TV screens now with television shows, the supposed humor shows. Ay, they're terrible. All the commercials show men as a bunch of wussies and dumbs and dolts. And you're right. We're turning this thing into a matriarchal society, and we're diminishing and downplaying men and the value of men as leaders. And on this program, ain't gonna happen.
No, I know it won't, but no, it's so obvious. I mean, to those of us of our generation, for sure, and you just see this. You know, we bow down to the 2 or 3% that are, you know, different and think they're different anyway, and so we bend over backwards, literally, to accommodate these people. We bring in these illegals that are bringing in diseases that we haven't heard of for years. And they get no check at the border. They have no vaccination card to come with them. I mean, this is so ludicrous, but it's a good way to destroy our economy and our culture, and that's exactly what they want, to make us a third world country, and that's been the goal for all of our lives, really, Zeb.
That's exactly right.
You see, we need to really wake up the fact, hold our politicians' feet to the fire. They take an oath to uphold the Constitution, but all we get really is just lip service and not much action.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more, and I'm not going to mention names in this particular circumstance, but many of our delegation from the state of Idaho have been invited numerous times to be on the show and bring us up to speed as to what's going on. One person in particular in the last 3 weeks was scheduled 3 different times on my program, and it was no show. And I'm going to tell you this right now, that offends me. I do not have the time to go around at the last minute and try to fill those times with national guests when people are so rude to say, oh, well, we got to cancel this morning. And I'll tell you what, the Idaho delegation better wake up and smell the coffee, because when it comes time for re-election, they might not get my support on this program.
Well, it's sad that they get elected and they go along to get back there and they get Potomac River fever, I guess.
Absolutely.
They go along to get along, and instead of standing up for what's right, you know, and I have to say that we better be so glad that we got. Can you imagine if Hillary had gotten in there, what our Supreme Court would look like?
Oh, my goodness, don't even go there.
It's about 7-2 because Bader Ginsburg would have resigned, and they put a liberal in there, and the other 2 would be liberals. So you figure out that alone was worth getting Donald Trump in there.
Amen. I got to run and do a commercial break, Adrian, but you brought up some excellent points this morning. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Have a great
All right,
day.
sir.
Bye.
Hey, don't forget on Mondays we give away a dozen cookies to Sophie's Chatterbox. Just a wonderful bakery and a fantastic restaurant at 530 East Street in Rupert. Oh, my. All the cookies, pies, cakes, everything, the muffins, the biscuits, it's all there, delicious at Sophie's Chatterbox, 530 East Street in Rupert. Be listening Mondays at 8:30 as we give away a dozen cookies to Sophie's. Want to also remind you about our friends over at Berry Equipment and Rental. Oh, my, if you got a bunch of digging and lifting and pushing and carrying, whoa, I tell you what, and grading and leveling and whatever the case might be, you need the equipment that's going to get the job done. Absolutely. Well, there it is. There it is right there at Berry Equipment and Rental. Let me tell you where. 159 West Highway 30 in Burley, 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, and the Nampa location. They really can help you, and they've got some super nice people, too. Like Corey Chandler was on our program last week, and I urge you to give him and anybody else connected with Berry Equipment and Rental a call. They can help with sales, service, and parts. Berry Equipment and Rental, Burley, Twin Falls, and Nampa. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I am not kidding you. For anybody that happened to see that news clip on O'Rourke sitting there with the women on The View, he looked like a little wilted flower. And he really can't handle eye contact. Have you noticed that? I mean, when you start looking him in the eye, he puts his head down like a little boy in first grade. I didn't mean to put the paste all over the blackboard. Oh, come on. Grow up. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. U.S. Attorney. This guy may be the Matt Dillon of Dodge City that we need. I got into, and it wasn't real pretty last night, a little discussion. Oh, yeah. Deanne was ready to call the police. No, I'm kidding. Little discussion with a person that absolutely was against investigating the investigators. In other words, this person kind of came on to me and said, you Republicans, all you want to do is try to tush things in your favor, and that's why you've got this attorney, John Durham, to investigate the investigators. You're just trying to be a muckraker and everything else. Yeah, I kind of lost it. I got a little upset. When there's an illegality, and when there's something done that is not right and kosher, it should be brought out, it should be reprimanded, and if need be, it should be corrected. The likes of Comey and Clapper and Brennan and the investigation of the Clinton emails, and yes, even the darling boy, Obama, that should happen. There were illegalities and there were spying going on against the Trump administration. And a lot of things were said, done, and put out in the public and in the media that were blatant, slanderous lies. Why shouldn't those people that did this be punished? This person said, oh, well, let bygones be bygones. Let's just move on. Move on? Somebody robs a bank and they're gone for a year and you finally found them and say, oh, well, they were good people. They contributed to a new church in town. Let bygones be bygones. No, you arrest them for the crime. I can't believe the attitude in this country that we are to accept sleaze, lying, cheating, theft. I mean, the list goes on. Oh, just let it go. Let's turn a new page. Baloney. There's another word I wanted to use, but I can't. The U.S. Attorney John Durham is a tough guy. And he's already getting his feet stuck into the water and testing the temperature right now. And many, many people, including Democrats, and I hope this happens. I do. I want to see Hillary just absolutely start to squirm. I want to see Hillary just sit there and turn beet red and go, abadi, abadi, abadi. That's all, folks. I want to see them get scared and nervous because of the very illegal and illicit weaves that they have spun and tried to change and lie about. I would love that. Maybe we can clean up Dodge City with this U.S. Attorney John Durham. One can only hope. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. There's a guy that's got some backbone. Him and Attorney General Bill Barr. I mean, they're men. That doggone right. Yeah, go get them, I'll tell you what. I love that attitude. They're not going to let people get away with anything, nor should they. Don't forget our friends at Dino Septic Service. Absolutely the best at what they do, and they've expanded their business to better serve more people in this area with all the septic tank pumping and the septic tanks and drain fields installed, backhoe services, water and sewer lines installed, the list goes on, and sewer and sink drain lines cleaned, liquid waste removal. What are you waiting for? Write these numbers down because they can help you. 436-6526 or in Burley 678-1638. Fast, fair, friendly service all the time, and I guarantee it, they are the best. They worked for us, did a tremendous job. Dino Septic Service, with the big truck that says smells cargo on the way. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, I think Barr...
Speak up, Randy. You're way too low. I can't hear you. You're going to have to project your voice.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, speak up.
Okay, I'm sorry. My phone. It doesn't matter.
You know what you need to do with your phone? You need to go to the Perrine Bridge in a ritual ceremony this afternoon at 3 o'clock and let that puppy go. Free that phone.
Well, I'd like to swap it over, and I need to take the time, but I'm running so hot, so fast and hard that I don't have time to... Some days I get 50 calls in and out, and, you just 30 to 50... And you just can't, you're just scrambling.
All right, well, what can we do for you this morning? Go ahead.
Joe DeGeneva, who I think is maybe the most intelligent prosecutor that I've ever heard, tells me that he likes William Barr and he also likes Durham. And I think that when Clapper and Brennan are trying to posture, and Rosenstein is, throwing hatchets at Comey, I'd like to see the Democrats tear each other to limb from limb, because they deserve nothing less.
I couldn't agree with you more. We've got Mr. Potato Head and Mr. Towhead, Clapper, and also Brennan, and then you got Comey, the 6'8" guy, that former FBI director that thinks he's so smug and so above everybody, not only in height but also in mentality. I can't wait, man. I'm excited. I just want to see these people float that boat down the river without an oar.
Well, I'll tell you what. If they get Hillary dead to rights, she will take Obama with her, because she's got... Well, a gentleman from California told me last week, he says, Hillary and Bill are the epitome of evil.
I agree.
And he's right. And Obama is as filthy and dirty as they ever got. The most corrupt administration in history.
Wouldn't it be nice, honestly, a year from today, that we had a complete purging? I mean, a complete investigation, a purging, a appointment of people that have to go to jail, appointment of people that have court dates pending, and clean up America. Man, wouldn't that make you feel good?
When I have to face justice and I see other people who don't, I tell you what, it's so infuriating you can't believe it.
I know.
So, yeah, I want to see some justice. I want to, you know what? Maybe this next election, from now till 2020, this is going to be going the other direction because Nadler, even though they voted to contempt of Congress with Barr, they never acted on it because they know they can't.
Yeah.
They're all full of you know what.
Hey, listen, real quick comment. What did you think about, and honestly, I don't want you to go on this because I'm running out of time, but the absolute wussy, he made such a fool out of himself and he denigrated himself. I don't think he could ever recover Beto O'Rourke in his apology wussy attitude. What do you think?
I tell you what, these people are so gutless. They don't know what man, between Buttigieg and him and the rest of them, they fall all over themselves being effeminate.
There you go.
They're so apologetic. If these are men, God help us.
Amen. Good way to wrap it up, Randy. Good. Get rid of that cell phone, buy a new one. We'll all take up a gathering and a charity ball for you. Thank you. Okay. Hey, I want to remind everybody, too, again about Ramsey Heating and Electric. Don't forget they've teamed up with Lennox Home Comfort Systems, and they're offering up to $1,700 in rebates on a new home comfort system. Ask about the low monthly payment financing options. Call Ramsey Heating and Electric today at 678-0459, and terms and conditions apply. Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox with their home comfort systems. You get a hold of them today. All right, I got to tell you about this. Recently, there's a teaming up of two people that absolutely, they scare me. Do I think they're going to get over the United States with power? I'm not sure if they have that capability, but I am a little bit worried about the idiocy, the incompetency, and the following like lemmings that could happen with Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. They're teaming up to really push the Green New Deal, and they want us all to become worshipers of climate change and green energy. I got to tell you this, folks. On this program, you will not hear that. I am not going to ever advocate the foulness, the inadequate education that people possess in believing in climate change, not after I've had numerous scientists come on our program and dispute this. There may be some climate change going on, but it's cyclical. There may be a very slight, and the word slight comes into play here because it's a true word, slight warming, but all for the better in many, many occasions. And we have in this area many that are absolutely advocates of all of us should join the green energy movement and become believers in all the climate change theories from our local Times News and others all the way to former Idaho Attorney General Jim Jones. Why, they all want us to join in because if we don't, why, we're naysayers and we're stupid. The complete twisting and lying of misinformation or outright no information on climate change is coming back to bite them. Study after study after study after study, and I've got a pile here of papers on my desk that solidify what I'm saying from various governmental groups and other groups around the United States saying that the falsification and the misleading reports on climate change absolutely will not hold water. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Quickly before I go to the weather.
Yeah, I just wanted to make comments. You know, carbon dioxide, I guess they don't teach photosynthesis in school anymore, but carbon dioxide in water and green plants produces the oxygen we breathe and the food we eat.
Amen.
So we better not be too hard on it. But the amount of CO2 in the atmosphere, if you had a 100,000-seat football stadium, how many seats would be dedicated to carbon dioxide? It would be 40 out of 100,000. That shows you how ludicrous it is. But right now, Zeb, we're going into maybe a Mumner minimum. There's hardly any solar activity, and what that means, we get no radiation coming down to disperse the clouds, And so that's why we're having a lot more stormy weather all over the place. And when we have a lot of solar radiation, we get warmer temperatures.
Yeah.
With 98% of the CO2 is in the ocean, so temperature drives the CO2. CO2 doesn't drive the temperature. So
Well,
it's been lying to us at every angle.
let me jump in and say something to you. Your knowledge on this story and this perhaps circumstance with climate change and or / global warming, your knowledge, your background, everything leads me to listen to you and understand what you're saying and appreciate what you're saying. But when I pick up the paper and I read the op-ed board of the Times News that has no meteorological or any other climatological experience or knowledge, or former Attorney General Jim Jones trying to be a weatherman, that's absolutely insane, and it insults my intelligence. I'd much rather listen to people like you that know what's going on instead of these people that are never was or wannabes.
Well, I just went on a recent trip, and I can tell you, I ask a lot of people, and one guy says, all we hear on the media, the mainstream media is that, we're going to be doomed in 10 or 12 years.
Yeah.
He says, after my conversation with him, he said, my gosh, there are people like you out there that really know what's going on. And it's just amazing when most of the people I talk to in airports, we get in that conversation, they know it's a hoax. Especially the ones that have been around a while, they know it's cyclic, like you said. And so, unfortunately, we may be going into a Mumner minimum, and that's not good because it'll be hard to grow crops.
I got to run, Adrian. You can look at your own watch. I'm late on my weather, but God bless you for your call because I absolutely stand behind you on that. Thank you very much. Thank you. Weather forecast. Let's see what's going to happen. Weird day yesterday. Man, I was all ready to saddle a horse, and all of a sudden, bing, bang, boom, weather, lightning, wind. Holy smokes. Weather forecast brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, and they're located right behind the Minidoka Hospital, across from the emergency room, serving you with all your hearing health care. And I mean that. They help me. They can help you. Please, excellent people that really know. All you have to do is pick up the phone and make an appointment. 312-0957. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. And right now, here's Gina.
It appears that a storm system is moving into the valley and might be sticking around for a couple of days. Here's a look at your weather forecast. For today, partly sunny skies, expecting a high of 79, winds out of the south at about 7 miles an hour. For tonight, isolated thunderstorms, mostly cloudy skies in the early evening hours. We are expecting a low of 52. For tomorrow, those clouds are going to stick around. We do have a 30% chance of showers off and on throughout the day with a high of 72. Definite rain showers for tomorrow night, about a 90% chance. Temperatures dropping to about 44. Then for Friday, mostly cloudy skies, 70% chance of rain with a high of 54. And then hopefully for Saturday, we might see a little bit of sunshine, partly sunny, and a high of 60. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at 3.
Well, I certainly hope so, man. I got spoiled with last weekend's weather. Thank you, Gina. And the weather forecast brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Please call them for your hearing health care needs. 312-0957. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Oh, hey, there's a big sale coming up this weekend. I got to get this on the air. Hold on just a second here, and then I'll take some more calls. And this is a sale that's going to be on Saturday, this coming May 18th. It's the Chuck Benedict... Can I start that over again without biting the end of my tongue? It's hurting right now, honestly. Chuck Benedict. There you go, auction. It's going to be over in Filer, Idaho, in the Clover area at 3550 North, 1950 East. From the Clover Christian School, go east for 2 miles. Look for the signs, managed by the Bennett Boys Auction Service. Joe Bennett and the crew. Backhoes, tractors, farm equipment, nice shop equipment. Shops and tools, saddles, horses and saddles and tack, all kinds of great things. You better be there on Saturday, starting at 10:30. And this is at Filer, Idaho, the Clover area, 3550 North, 1950 East, and it's the Chuck Benedict auction, managed by the Bennett Boys Auction Service. Joe Bennett and the crew. No sale too big, no sale too small. The Bennett Boys, yep, they sell them all. All right, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Please give me a call. Let me see what else have we got here. This is kind of spooky. People are buying into, I was watching a report last night that the Democrats and Kamala Harris and Bernie and the rest of them, their messages somehow, somewhere, and why are being perceived as honest about Medicare, one size fits all, it's all free, it's great. Wow. That scares me. I am concentrating a lot of my efforts this next week into having the best, of which we always have on this program, of people that really understand what's going on with our healthcare system, or lack of. And we're going to devote quite a few programs and segments next week into showing how dastardly the deeds are of the Democrats in trying to promote a one-size-fits-all Medicare for all free. Well, first of all, it's not free. Second of all, it's going to skyrocket taxes to the point of trillions upon trillions upon trillions of dollars of new debt. Then you have to look at the factor of who's going to be eligible and who's going to get what. We are already, and I've said this many, many times, looking at a hemlock society where there is no respect or anything regarding wellness or the furtherance of life. It's kind of like if you're in the way and you're old and it's expensive, die. Get out of the way. A Medicare for all is absolutely going to lower the quality. It's absolutely going to diminish service and health care. And it absolutely is going to become so expensive, it may never be. And I was listening to a gentleman last night, and he was talking about a 75-year-old man, broken hip, no coverage. Possibly would just have to lay there in agony and die. Canada, our neighbor to the north, excellent example of you don't want to go there with their health care. One size fits all, and it's not working. You take the Bernie Sanders and the Kamala Harrises and the Cory Bookers and the rest of them, all Medicare for all would just be a total control package, much the same as the green energy deal. Once they got you, they've got you. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866. You take somebody, I don't want to put it on a personal level with me, my family, anybody else, but somebody that's getting up there in years and all of a sudden you fall, you have an accident, you break your hip, you've got cancer, you've got some other kind of a disease, you want treatment, you want to have a quality of life. You're too old, man, we can't spend money on you, go die. I'm not exaggerating. That's what's going to happen with a Medicare for all, one size fits everybody. Don't forget your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you with the best in tires for your cars, your pickups, your SUVs, horse trailers, boat trailers. You got to make sure you got the best of tires on your trailers, too. And they've got everything over at all 7 locations of your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Don't forget, at all 7 locations, many, many, many of these tires are on sale right now, so you can save a lot of money and drive safely. Check it out along with the best in brake service and front end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries, all of this. And the service is absolutely 110%. They come at a high lope to see what they can do to help you at all 7 locations. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and the new man Trent on Overland in Burley. You better believe it, we appreciate them. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. By the way, I got a list of the Democratic Party in the state of Idaho, and just to let you know that starting this next week, I'm going to make some overtures to some of the leading figures in the Democratic Party and let them know how we would like them to come on our program and maybe have a nice, laid-back, very cordial conversation. Wonder how many will accept. We're going to take a little break for a while, and then we're going to come back for 9:06 at Dave Bego back in Indianapolis, Indiana, political analyst that I'm looking forward to. Then another national political analyst at 9:30, Josh Bernstein, and we're going to be talking about Muslims, Islamic influence in this country. And at 10:06, we've got a gentleman by the name of John Paul DeGance talking about marriage and families in the United States. And then followed by 10:30 this morning, Pacific Legal Foundation, Tim Snowball, talking about socialism. We got a whole bunch coming up. Don't go away. Zeb at the Ranch. I'll be back in 7. Oh, good morning. Good morning to you. A little bit cloudy and hazy out there, and I think the weather forecast is going to come to fruition that we might see some rain, and we'll tell you more about that a little bit later on. Zeb at the Ranch, and of course brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. And of course, don't forget some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue. Suite 2 in Burley, as I choke to death, helping you get back to being you. There you go. We're going to have our guest with us in just a moment, but right now, this good word for Western Waste.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal.
Western Waste Services, I got to get a hold of him. Honestly, myself personally, I've got to get a dumpster. I've got to park it right out behind my office window, and I've just got to open the window and start pitching and throwing. I got to clean this thing up. We can't find anything. Anyway, you be sure and order your dumpster. If you need one, they'll bring it out to you. You fill it up, they'll come and get it. Absolutely phenomenal service, always at your disposal. 734-6969. Western Waste Services. You call them today. Want to remind you, too, about our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox. Lennox, of course, with their home comfort systems, and with Ramsey Heating and Electric offering up to $1,700 in rebates on a new home comfort system. Find out more. Call Ramsey Heating and Electric at 678-0459. Terms and conditions apply. See dealer for details. Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox. Oh, and by the way, a big reminder on Mondays at 10:30. Got some great questions next week for Monday, Vicky's Country Garden. The program called Green Thumbs, Dirty Knees, and Vicky's Country Gardens. And I urge you, if you have any questions about your gardening, we're in full swing right now. To give us a call, we'll have that on the air at 10:30 next Monday. Vicky's Country Gardens on the Burley Paul Highway, absolutely the best. Want to remind you, too, about Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert. Hello, Joel Heward. Family, staff, entire crew serving you and your family. And when there's the passing of a loved one, they are always there. Always there to provide the families they serve with the best possible support and comfort. And please, listen to me on this, always upholding the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. They care. And they will help you. Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert, 436-5636. And Joel Heward also serving you and your family at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. It's Wednesday already, and I'm just very thankful for my friend back in Indianapolis, Indiana, that takes the time out of his busy entrepreneurial day to be on our program. Dave Bego, good morning.
Well, good morning, Zeb. Good to be on here, and just wanted to tell you something in your audience that my company, Executive Management Services, will be celebrating its 30th anniversary, March 24th.
March 24th is already gone.
Excuse me, May 24th, sorry.
Would somebody back there with Bego's outfit, would somebody at Bego's outfit please go in and correct his day planner and update it for him?
No, I'm just tired today. I was down in Cincinnati, Ohio yesterday, all day with a customer playing and helping sponsor a Salvation Army golf outing to raise money for the Salvation Army, and it was a long day. I left the house around 7:45 in the morning. I didn't get home till 9 o'clock last night, and it was... But hopefully we made a lot of money for the Salvation Army.
Good for you. And, Dave, I really, really salute you for what you do. Let me ask you this. And I'm not going to pull any punches on this program. I expect you not to, the same as me. Pete Buttigieg, I find him to be very offensive. I find him to be a slap in the face to religion and what religion is and should be. I find him to be, like Trump calls him, the Alfred E. Newman of Mad Magazine, running for the possibility of being president. What are your thoughts about this Buttigieg? I don't like the guy.
Yeah, I think he's a typical candidate that the far left, the deep state, and the unions have found to try and get out there because, he uses their same type of trash talk and agenda and all that kind of stuff, and I think that's why they're throwing him out there, and I think we just need as a country to keep exposing him for what he really is. That he's 37 years old. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's not for this country. It's all about him and the far left.
I agree. Okay, there's about, what is there now, Dave? I lost track. Over the evening hours, there might be even more. What is there, 23 possible contenders for the Democratic nomination? I mean, many of them are so unheard of that you'll never hear of them. But then, here's the thing I want to bring up to you this morning. In the first hour, I was talking about the wussification of the American male. And this is personified with what I saw on television yesterday on that program, The View, with Beto O'Rourke. What a pathetic, and I underline that word pathetic, display of not being a man. This guy is nothing more than a wuss.
Yeah, well, again, Zeb, it comes back to the left trying to get their people on this agenda and, bringing down America and trashing conservatives and Trump and everything like that and trying to brainwash. And this is what this is all about. And in my newsletter this week, I had an article in there about the brainwashing of America. And it's all about this stuff, their agenda to go out and get millennials and other people believing that all this stuff they're trying to do and saying is good stuff for America, and that, at the end of the day, we need to be a socialist country.
Yeah. Of all the Democrats that you know, and I'm sure you probably work with many, many people back in Indianapolis, when you sit down maybe over dinner or go to a luncheon or whatever, are you hearing anybody say, well, so-and-so's the front runner, so-and-so is absolutely going to take over the Democratic Party? Honestly, I don't see any front runners.
No, it's pretty quiet. I even saw the mayor of Indianapolis the other night, and got to talk to him for a few minutes, and he's a nice guy. He's a Democrat, but he's very nice, and he just doesn't get into that stuff. And there's a lot of them that I see around the country and around the Midwest here that they're just not getting into this stuff. They're staying out of it, and I think a lot of them are looking at it from the same perspective. Let's let these people get out there and expose who they really are and dump themselves.
When you look at Joe Biden, and he's, 76, 77, by the time, if he did win, he'd be 79 on the inauguration. Wow. I mean, he's got a lot of skeletons in the closet that keep being pushed forward with his relationship with his son and some of the illegalities, perhaps business-wise. I don't see how in the world Biden could ever take the nomination.
Well, I don't either, but, again, he comes from that same mindset of the Obama administration that they know better than everybody else. And, they're just going to change things to make things work for them and for, what they want this country to be. And, even Obama, quite honestly, he was being controlled by the left. And, he was a member of the SEIU before he ran for president.
That's right.
And, you just got to understand that these people, they're getting a lot of money put in their pockets to, go to this agenda and bring down this country and, again, make it into a socialistic country. That's what it's all about. And I got to tell you this, too, while we're talking about this. I got an article this morning from a friend. It's called The 10 Most Destructive Americans of My 8 Decades. This guy, his name's Frank Hawkins, and he's 80 years old, and he listed the people that are the people bringing down America, and number 1 was John Kerry, 2 was Obama, 3 was Lyndon Johnson, and then it just goes down the road, Valerie Jarrett and Bill and Hillary Clinton, and all these people that we talk about all the time. And there are people out there that are putting stuff out to expose this, and he even had ones that he didn't mention. He says, here's my ones that just missed the list: John Brennan, Jane Fonda, Jimi Hendrix, and Janis Joplin. So you see, he's going back a long time on this stuff.
Yep.
George Soros, Arthur Oakes, Sulzberger, Frank Marshall Davis. I encourage people to read it because they've got to understand the whole group of people who's been behind this for the last 40 years or so.
Dave, earlier this morning I was talking about the appointment, and Wheels, I got a little feedback there, Wheels, please. The appointment of U.S. Attorney John Durham to head up the reinvestigation of the investigators. There are too many loose ends. There are too many untied shoes not to go back and find out about Comey, Clapper, Brennan, the Clinton emails, Obama himself, etc. You can't let illegality go unpunished. I think, honestly, and I talked to some people back in Washington, D.C. early this morning, there's a lot of nervous people right now. What are your thoughts?
No, I'm sure there is. And, you had people in Washington during the 8 years of the Obama administration that were influenced by them and doing things for them to, go after the Republican Party and bring it down. And I think some of this stuff's going to, come to view here to the American people. And I think these people are scared to death that this is going to happen and what's going to happen to them.
Yeah. You mentioned a person I want you to elaborate on, and I tell you what, I have absolutely nothing good to say about this man. I don't like him. I never did. I never trusted him. I think he's a traitor to his country, and I'm going to use those words, and I'm talking about John Kerry. He absolutely had many quotations that he was talking to the Iranian government, hey, try to bear with us a little while, we'll get rid of Trump in the next election, etc., and then things will be better. That is absolutely being subversive against the American way and our government. This man is despicable.
Well, he is, and, he gave out fake Purple Hearts during his cowardly service in Vietnam, and, as a reserve naval officer in a clear violation of the Code of Justice, he traveled to Paris, met privately with the NVA and Viet Cong, and returned to this country parroting the Soviet party line about the war, testified before Congress comparing American soldiers to the hordes of Genghis Khan. It's clear that he doesn't like this country, and he's doing everything he can to bring it down.
Absolutely. I want to ask you a little bit about being a businessman and being in the middle of the business climate back in the Midwest. What are your thoughts about what's going on with China, the trade and the tariff wars, and the net end result that might happen? What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I think that, and I had this discussion yesterday with our major customer, and they're a big customer. And I asked him how Trump's administration was affecting their business. He says, Dave, it's been great for our business across the country. We continue to grow. And that, and I said, what do you think about China? And he says, well, I think he's moving in the right direction. And, I think it's just the way he gets out there and, tries to get things done and with people. And he says, I think at the end of the day, he'll do things that are good for this country. And I said, well, I agree with you. I just want to make sure that he does, when his negotiations with China ends, that it doesn't hurt, like in the Midwest here, farmers and that, and other people who have seen a drop in the demand for soybeans and other things like that, and that he looks at the whole big picture. And this guy, and he was a CEO, and he was very positive about it, and I heard that from other people yesterday too. So I think he's going in the right direction. I just think people need to understand it's his negotiating tactics.
Well, Dave, for all the years of history of negotiations with China, and basically with nothing being done to slap them on the wrist about their tariffs and their trade policies, they were allowed to basically come in and rule Dodge City. That Dodge City being just basically all over the world. And Donald Trump, for the first presidency and the first administration, to look China in the eye and say, wait a minute, you're not going to cheat. You're not going to lie. You're not going to steal from us. It's going to be an equal footing and an equal partnership on trade, or this is going to happen. And I don't know why all the naysayers are against somebody trying to line the Chinese out.
Because they look at it and they're saying, oh, no, what he's doing is going to hurt this country, and it's going to take away things from different people and different businesses, and it's going to hurt our economy all over there. This is the left's way of just looking at and saying, this is another way to bring down this president by making him look like he's a bad person and a liar and all that kind of stuff. This is the media for you, and again, I've mentioned it many, many times. The media is controlled behind the scene by the unions and the left.
Let me ask you a question here. If Donald Trump Jr. were your son, you're now all of a sudden Donald Trump, and there has been testifying after testifying after testifying, and there's been thousands upon thousands of hours of information gathering with the Mueller report and all the testimony and the subpoenas and everything else. Would you, like Donald Trump did to his son, Donald Trump Jr., tell him, no, just defy them and don't give any more testimony? I will tell you how I feel about it up front, and I want to hear your viewpoint. I think enough is enough in trying to feed the Democrats anything, any little bite where they can turn into a snake and turn around and bite you. I would have told my son not to testify.
Well, yeah, there's a point where you got to stop putting that information out there to them. And, the SEIU tried to do the same thing with us, and they kept asking us for this and more stuff. And, they of course, tried to get it in front of judges and stuff like that and get information from us and things like that. And you just have to say, no, this is not your business. And what you're asking for doesn't make sense.
Absolutely. I want to just kind of wrap up our conversation this morning by asking you, in that area of the Midwest, what is the general feeling of people that you talk to regarding the incorporation of ideas or a semblance of the ideas of the Green New Deal? Are people laughing at this, or are people saying, oh, gee, we better try it because in 12 years we're going to burn up?
Well, I think this. My answer is more important than either one of those two is that people don't even talk about it because I don't think they even have an interest. To them, it's just one of those things out there that isn't even worth talking about.
Interesting. I noticed that Ocasio-Cortez and Bernie Sanders seem to be going arm and arm right now, trying to cause a liaisonship to where they can have more power. But as far as the rest of the Democrats are concerned, whether it's Kamala Harris or whether it's Cory Booker, Bernie, etc., I don't see anybody stepping up to the forefront in the Democratic Party and really being a leader on various subjects. I'm looking at a dear friend of mine, maybe you know him, Dr. Gerard Lamero from back east, was on my program many, many times, and he has predicted that the Democratic Party as we know it today is going to fall apart and fragment like a Chinese puzzle in the next year.
Well, I think there's a good chance of that because they're just they're putting all this stuff out there, and they got all these people in there that most of the American people don't even want to listen to or talk to and agree with. And but again, their big thing on this is trying to get the millennials on their side, and you know, because they think they can brainwash them, and this all comes back to brainwashing America.
Yep. Real quick basketball thought this morning. Zion Williamson, the outstanding basketball player from Duke University, last night in the lottery, it looks like he's going to go play for the Pelicans down in New Orleans. I was hoping that would not be where he'd go because I don't think he'll ever have a chance to showcase his talents. I honestly was hoping the Knicks would get him. What were your thoughts?
I'll be honest with you, Zeb. I really didn't pay that much attention to it, and really didn't follow up on it. You know, I'm a big Pacers fan, and I'm really following them right now, and they're doing some good things, and I'm looking forward to them next year. I think that we could see a big improvement in the Pacers, and you know, they were one of the top teams this year.
Are you telling me right now, as a news flash, Dave Bego is saying that the return of the Reggie Miller days are ominous?
We're hoping so, and we think there's good opportunities, and we think our Colts are going to be very good too. They had a good draft, and you know, the Indianapolis Colts are kind of positioned or ranked kind of as the fourth best team in the NFL right now. So we're hoping Indianapolis has a good fall, winter sports scenario.
As far as Green Bay is concerned, I'm not going to stick my neck out. I'm going to be the proverbial turtle and stay under the shell because I'm not sure what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's you know, I'm a Green Bay fan too, so.
Well, I want to tell you how much I appreciate your taking the time to be on our program this morning, and I wish you God's blessings. We'll talk to you next Wednesday. A dear friend of mine, author, political analyst, Dave Bego, back in Indianapolis, Indiana. Thank you, Dave. Have a great, great week.
Yeah, you too, Zeb. Thank you very much.
All right, sir. Thank you. Great guy. I mean, just absolutely one of the nicest people that I've ever had occasion. I can remember vividly the first time I saw a cheat sheet of information come across my desk about a book that he had written, The Devil at My Doorstep, and I asked him to come on the program, and we've been friends ever since on a weekly basis, coming on here as a political analyst. Thank you, Dave. I want to remind you, too, about our friends at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. My goodness. Hello, Jeff over there at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. I'm telling you, these people have everything for the comfortization and beautification of your home. And when I talk about comfort, if you're having a hard time getting a good night's sleep, maybe you need a new mattress. Well, let me tell you something, monkey. They've got all the mattresses right now. I mean, all the different sizes, all the different price ranges, all the comfort right there at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. And how about floor coverings? How about carpet? How about the floor coverings of all types? Anything and everything to help your home. And then, of course, you want to relax a little bit. They've got all the furniture. They've got all the recliners. And I want to stress the fact that when I say all, they've got the largest selection of recliners around. And you got to go in and try them on, see what fits you best. All this at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More, 459 Overland in Burley. You stop in and see them today. Oh, my goodness, in just a few minutes, we're going to go to the phone line. and have another political analyst on our program this morning, and that's Josh Bernstein, and I'm looking forward to having him on the air. Also want to remind you quickly about our friends over at Let's Ride. Hey, get your motor running. Absolutely. Head for the hills on a four-wheeler or a side-by-side, or hit the rivers and the streams with a watercraft they have over there. Idaho is made for fun, and they've got all the fun over at Let's Ride. 270 Highway 24 in Rupert. Absolutely. The number to call, 436-4771. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays 9 to 4. Excellent accessory department, all the things you need, along with a super service department to keep you running at Let's Ride. 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World, and it's true, this is where the fun is sold. Got a quick note I need to get on the air here real quick, and the Oates Family Center Mental Health Walk. I want to say that again. The Oates Family Center Mental Health Walk is going to be this coming Friday, this week, May 17th, from 5 to 7 p.m., and it's going to start, I believe, at the Chamber of Commerce in Heyburn. Food, fun, and raffles and all kinds of goodies for the Oates Family Center Mental Health Walk. I do not have a telephone number for information on this, but I'll try to get one and have it on tomorrow's program. There you go. Right now, let's go to the phone line, and we have with us Amazon TV host of the Josh Bernstein Show and national spokesman for AMAC. Good morning, Josh Bernstein. How are you?
It's great to be on the program with you.
Josh, tell me a little bit about yourself, what you do, what you don't like to do, what AMAC stands for. Give us all the background.
Well, according to the amazing and great Barry Farber, he calls me a political savant. I've been called a political prosecutor because I like to dissect the other side's arguments with intellects and facts. I've been doing it for about 7 years. I've done over 2,500 radio interviews, about 75 television interviews. And I'm a truth seeker and a truth teller. I'm one of those people that is demonetized on YouTube because of my content, not because of any, profanity or vulgarity or explicit images, but more because I cover things that many of those folks in the media refuse to cover or just completely ignore. And so I've kind of developed a reputation as doing such.
You and I might get along very, very well. I don't care about anything that goes on my program as long as it's not illicit, illegal, and or profane. I'm going to tell it like it is, and I feel that by talking to you in the first 30 seconds, that's your attitude also.
Yeah, it truly is. I think that, I've said this many times, the farther we drift away from the truth, the more we will hate those that speak it. And in today's society, just as in 1984 and George Orwell said, in times of universal deceit, telling the truth becomes a revolutionary act. There are many on our side that are fighting that each and every day. You've got the incredible, amazing Laura Loomer, who has been banned from all these different platforms. Of course, you had Alex Jones being banned, Milo Yiannopoulos, who I've interviewed and has been on my show, many others that have lost their platforms because of the fact that they refuse to toe the globalist line of thinking and dare to think outside of the box.
Absolutely.
So, I'm one of those people that is, shadow banned on Twitter and thrown in Facebook jail and demonetized on YouTube. So anyone that wants to help me, they can go to patreon.com/Josh Bernstein, and they can get the truth in large doses over there.
Let me just throw a couple of subjects out to you, and we'll discuss it during the time that we have here this morning. And again, I don't pull any punches. I am absolutely drawing back in a kind of a fear, if you will, as to the Muslim influence, the Islamic influence that has perforated itself into our Congress, our Senate, our House, and I believe they're going to be a much stronger source in our government. Am I right or wrong?
Unfortunately, you're probably right. It wasn't just these 2 to 3 Muslim women that were elected. You have lots of different states have elected Muslims in their city councils. They've elected them as mayors. They've elected them in other positions. There are others that are running in 2020. For instance, in California, in one of the districts, you literally have the grandson of the mastermind of the Munich terrorist attacks. His grandson, who has praised his grandfather publicly, is running for a seat in the 50th district in California. So, yeah, there are a lot of these radicals that are running for office. I think that, they're doing what they can to try to, get into powers of position so that they can have more influence. We've got to be cognizant of that. We've got to be aware of that. I don't think that that's an Islamophobic point of view. I think the fact that they are the antithesis of the U.S. Constitution, and clearly by their language, their rhetoric, and their actions, we can clearly see that their best intentions do not have to do with what's greatest for America. And we can clearly see that with Ilhan Omar. We can clearly see that with Rashida Tlaib and many of the other freshman 5 Democrats, who, by the way, were all part of what is known as the Justice Democrats, which is an arm of the left-wing radical base that literally did a casting call. I don't know if you know this, but a casting call was done for Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, as I like to call her, and there was 10,000 people that they put in their information, and she, believe it or not, was the one that was chosen. Her brother Gabriel entered her name into the running, and they picked her to run on their platform of Medicare for All and their platform of the Green New Deal. They're basically, the freshman 5 are the equivalent of the political Spice Girls. They're just a band of women that were put together and put in Congress.
Let me ask you, though, Josh, we're talking about an individual from Minnesota, an individual from Michigan. We're talking about Keith Ellison prior to them as a House member from Minnesota. But the influence is there that they don't have the same value system, the same love, etc. for this great United States of America and our allies. And with the anti-Semitic remarks made by Tlaib, I see nothing more than fractioning on a daily basis as to what we should be doing and saying for our allies. What are your thoughts about her and comments?
Well, look, there's no joking about it. I mean, what she said is factually inaccurate, historically false, and more than anything else, it's dangerous. I mean, you have someone like an Ilhan Omar who is literally on an intelligence committee in our Congress. I mean, and she hates Israel so much. Could you imagine if, God forbid, there was an imminent attack and she's on that committee? What would she do? She would either ignore the information, she would try to hide the information and not tell her other superiors and other people on the committee. So I think that there's a clear and present danger from a national security standpoint, having someone like Ilhan Omar in Congress as well as Rashida Tlaib. You know, in Mein Kampf, Adolf Hitler wrote, if you tell a lie that is so colossal in size, no one ever would believe that someone could have the impotence to distort the truth so famously. And that's exactly what Tlaib has done. You know, for her to go on that show, and first off, at the 28th minute, say that Israel should be abolished into a one-state solution without Israel as part of that solution was bad enough. But then to say that she gets a calm, warm feeling when she thinks about the Holocaust is just, it's reprehensible. It's absolutely disgusting. And she should be thrown out of Congress for comments like that. I mean, imagine if a Jewish Republican got up on a show and said, when I think about Muslims being persecuted in America and elsewhere, I get a warm, fuzzy feeling about that. They would have their head on a pike within an hour of that statement. They would have been forced out. They would have had to resign. But yet, because, Islam gets a pass, there's nothing. There's no condemnation. You can't even get Nancy Pelosi to bring up a resolution condemning anti-Semitism. it's really, really sick, and it's really sad. And unfortunately, I think that the Democrats ought to rebrand themselves as the anti-Semitic party.
Absolutely. We have a caller with a question for you, Josh. Caller, quickly. I'm on limited time. Go ahead, please.
Well, the fact that there is no outrage, and these are outrageous statements. Ilhan Omar and what she has said, Tlaib, these people are, they're Muslim extremists who have been elected by lying to us, the infidel. We are the infidel. We could lie, cheat, steal, murder you, behead you, because you mean nothing. And that we keep thinking that they're nice people. These people's intent is not at all what we think they are. They are deceitful, and they're destructive, and they fundamentally want to change this country, and they will do so. They're going to run 5,000 or more in the next election in various levels, and they're on the go, baby, and we're standing here with our pants down. I'll hang up.
Respond to the caller, please, Josh.
Yeah, look, I think what he's referring to is what's known as taqiyya, which in the Quran basically says that you can lie and deceive the infidel in order to gain favor and trust and admiration from them, so that you can, you can infiltrate them. And I think that many of these people that have run for office have this goal in mind. Maybe not all of them, but many of them do. I don't know how much time we have, but I would like to debunk the Rashida Tlaib thing and show how it is historically inaccurate.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, when she says that they created a safe haven for Muslims, this is absolutely not true. During World War II, the Mufti, the Grand Mufti of Jerusalem, Haji Muhammad Amin al-Husseini, openly collaborated with Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party. And during World War II, the Mufti was involved in the mobilization and support for Germany, and there were efforts to eliminate the Jews, which they obviously had a commonality type of goal. In 1941, the Grand Mufti met with Hitler and helped him strategize on how to persecute the Jewish people. Moreover, historian Benny Morris, Palestinian Arab leadership actually rejected a one-state solution offered by the British prior to the Second World War because the British insisted that they accept 75,000 new Jewish immigrants, which they opposed. That is the complete opposite of a safe haven. But it wasn't just the Palestinians. They were not alone in their persecution and hatred for the Jews. 259,000 Jews fled prosecution in Morocco, 140,000 in Algeria, 100,000 from Tunisia, 75,000 from Egypt, 38,000 from Libya, 135,000 from Iraq, 55,000 from Yemen, 34,000 from Turkey, 20,000 from Lebanon, 18,000 from Syria, and 25,000 from Iran. That's nearly 1 million Jews were forced to flee their countries. That is not what we call a safe haven.
Absolutely. We have another caller with a question for you, Josh. Quickly, caller, you're on the air. Go. Caller, are you there? Never mind. Engineer, please cut that call off then. Thank you very much. Josh, one of the questions I wanted to ask you this morning is about the naivete of the American public, or the receding of their intelligence regarding the value of Christianity in this country and the diminishment of Christianity in this country. And there seems to be an attack, and I'm a Christian and proud of it. There seems to be an all-out frontal attack on diminishing Christians and building up, if you will, Islamic modes and methods in our society. What are your thoughts? Am I off base on this, or do you see it also?
Oh, no, you're definitely not off base. I think that Jews and Christians, for that matter, are being persecuted in America and quite frankly, around the world. I mean, look what's going on in areas like France. There's rising anti-Semitism in France. There's rising anti-Semitism in Germany and elsewhere. And I think that Christian persecution is alive and well here at home, not just, around the world, and the Coptic Christians, and we could go on and on and on. But even here, I mean, they try to silence anyone that has a Judeo-Christian value system and traditional values They mock them, they minuscule them, they marginalize them, they tell them that they're not worthy, that they're not open enough, they're not, politically correct if they believe in traditional marriage. I think it's a true all-out assault on the traditional cultural value system of America. It needs to stop. We need to start finding and electing people that believe in traditional America. Otherwise, we're not going to have an America.
Josh, does it surprise you when you look at the overall program of what's going on with the Democratic Party and how far absolutely left? I mean, they came up to the intersection and they turned left and went down Elm Street all the way. They've exceeded their limits on going to the left, but yet they've also mocked and attacked Christianity. They've diminished it, and then also they've stood behind all the Muslim influence back in Congress and in the Senate. Does it surprise you that the party itself would do that?
Well, yes and no. I mean, I think this is the party. I mean, how surprised can you be when this is a party that literally supports the murder of a child on the day that it's born? This is a party that wants to completely abolish ICE. This is a party that, if they could, would like to completely eliminate the Second Amendment. This is a party that doesn't believe in the integrity of our national borders. So for them to embrace an ideology, a radical leftist ideology, a hateful ideology, as Islam and the terrorists that portray from that, I don't really think that it's that far of a stretch. It's amazing to me that many in the minority communities that would be affected just as much, if not worse, if, God forbid, there was an Islamic rule in this country. I mean, who would be the first people that would go? It would probably be the homosexuals and the gays. They would be thrown off of buildings. They would be treated horribly. Even women are treated with less respect than your typical house pet in many Islamic countries. So I don't understand where the feminists are quiet and the homosexuals are quiet when you have this rampage, this march of Islam coming into this country. If you want to live your lifestyle and be free and be treated as an equal, you certainly don't want to embrace this type of an ideology, in my opinion.
You know, Josh, I want to follow up just for a moment, if I could, about what now there must be at least 973 Democrats vying for the presidency. I'm joking, but it seems like the list inflates itself and blows up like a balloon every day. Of the 22 or 23 that are supposedly with their hats in the ring, which one or two of these people scare you the most that they may get the nod for the nomination?
For the most part, none of them. I would actually say that I would hope that Joe Biden would get the nomination. You would have another candidate for the Democrats who will be under investigation, number one, and number two is a walking, talking gas machine with a 35-year history of really off-the-wall comments, not to mention the fact that he's sniffing and blowing in the ears of these little girls and everything else. So I think ultimately he would be the easiest to beat without a doubt. I think the other ones are not going to resonate with the majority of Americans. I think they're just too crazy, to be quite honest, and they don't have the name recognition and backing. So I guess what I would hope is that Bernie Sanders would actually run as an independent, or another person gets in like a Howard Schultz or something like that, takes away the votes from the Democrats, because it wouldn't affect President Trump. He's got his strong 98% of his base that would continue to vote for him, and I think that President Trump would win quite handedly if someone like a Bernie Sanders was to actually have the guts to shun the DNC and the Democrat Party that's been trying to steal the nomination from him, which they did in 2016, and they're trying to do again in 2020. But yet he keeps getting houses and yachts and all these other wonderful perks to play along. So maybe he'll run as an independent, which would obviously make it much easier for President Trump in 2020.
One final question for you while I've got you on the program this morning, Josh, and I appreciate your opinion. Medicare for All, I think, is going to be the worst thing ever in the history of the United States. If it is implemented, it's going to be like a hemlock society for our elderly. What are your thoughts? Will Medicare and the concepts that the Democrats are pushing, will it be a stake in the heart to Dracula, or do you think they can really ride on that?
Here's the thing. I mean, if you look at how bad the Unaffordable Careless Act was and how much it didn't work, and, you know, they couldn't even get their websites to work, and your premiums went up 300 to 600%, and you have less choice, and you can't keep your doctor when they said that you could, why then would you base the entire medical system on a failed program that is bleeding out, number one, and number two, that is financially in the red, or in the black, I should say, in the hole? Why would you base your entire health care on a failing program and then add $32.6 trillion, which is what it would cost in over 10 years to be fully implemented? I think it would be the death knell of America, and I think that we would be pretty much done at that point. I mean, think about it. The entire world debt, I believe, is $232 trillion. That would be $32.6 trillion of it right then and there.
Absolutely. You know, Josh, I hope that you'll consent to coming back on my program. I've enjoyed our conversation.
Anytime, any topic.
Josh Bernstein, Amazon TV host of The Josh Bernstein Show. Thank you very much. God bless, and I'll be in touch. Thanks, Josh.
Thank you.
You betcha. Thank you, sir. Enjoyed having him on the program. He will be back, as I almost tipped the microphone over. Hey, it's time for the weather forecast, and the weather brought to you by Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company, providing accounting services to the Mini-Cash area for way over 50 years, serving you, your family, and your business with the best of professional tax return preparation, tax planning, business consulting, financial statement preparation, retirement planning. The list goes on and on, serving you. Offices in Burley and Rupert. Don't forget, work with the best. Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
It appears that a storm system is moving into the valley and might be sticking around for a couple of days. Here's a look at your weather forecast. For today, partly sunny skies, expecting a high of 79. Winds out of the south at about 7 miles an hour. For tonight, isolated thunderstorms, mostly cloudy skies in the early evening hours. We are expecting a low of 52. For tomorrow, those clouds are going to stick around. We do have a 30% chance of showers off and on throughout the day with a high of 72. Definite rain showers for tomorrow night, about a 90% chance. Temperatures dropping to about 44. Then for Friday, mostly cloudy skies, 70% chance of rain with a high of 54. And then hopefully for Saturday, we might see a little bit of sunshine, partly sunny, and a high of 60. That's a look at your weather forecast for Debit Duran.
You need to work with the professionals that can help you, your business, and your family with your taxes and all the other business work and consulting. Work with the best. Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company. As I said, they've been serving the Mini-Cash area for well over 50 years with offices in Burley and Rupert. Remember the name. Give them a call. Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company. Wow. A busy day. Great people. Josh Bernstein, a new person to our program, and coming up at 10:06, another new person that we have on our show this morning, and that's John Paul DeGance. Now, let me just say that we were supposed to, at 10 o'clock, have our Idaho Fish and Game Report, and due to some problems that came up, they were not able to attend this morning, and we certainly want to wish them, Craig White and his crew, the very, very best, and we'll try to get them rescheduled for perhaps next week. I want to remind you, too, about some friends of ours and yours that are over in the Rupert area, and they're right there on Highway 24 in Rupert, and that's Cameron and Siemens Insurance. Oh, my. They've got everything, all the retirement planning ideas, health insurance, life insurance, employee benefits, all of this and so much more. And they're really devoted to serving you. All you need to do is just give them a call and make an appointment at 436-4424. That number again, 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Really, really good people. Got a couple of notes here I need to make, and public service announcements, we've got them. I wanted to remind everybody, coming up on June 1st, that is right around the corner, and it's going to be the 5th annual Idaho Roll Call Memorial Ride, and it's going to take place on Saturday, June 1st, and they're going to have the great big program for the Idaho Roll Call Memorial at 1 o'clock at the Idaho Roll Call Monument, which is at 7th and Scott Street in Rupert. And they're going to have food and all kinds of goodies and some great speakers. And I just urge you to be in attendance for the 5th annual Idaho Roll Call Memorial Ride and Monument Procedure at 1 p.m. at 7th and Scott in Rupert. Another quick note. This one was sent to me last night, and again, Pam Evans sent it to me. Pam, if you're listening out there this morning, if you could email me a telephone number and any other information for the Oates Family Center Mental Health Walk, and it's going to be this Friday from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Chamber of Commerce building over in Hayburn, and food, fun, and a raffle. And again, for more information, I will get a number for you by tomorrow's program. One more note, and that's that we're going to be at Lunch Bunch at Denny's Restaurant next week on the 23rd. Again, during the news this morning at 9 o'clock, had another call. They said, is Lunch Bunch tomorrow? And I said, no, I've been saying next week, the 23rd. Please listen. Next week on the 23rd at Denny's, 611 North Overland in Burley. We will have Lunch Bunch next week. Don't miss that. And a real quick note, Minidoka County Senior Center holding a fundraising raffle for 13 gift baskets. Tickets are $2 each or $5 for 3. Each basket has a different theme and the minimum value of $75. For more information, get a hold of your Minidoka County Senior Center in Rupert at 702 11th Street. We're going to take a little break right now, and then John Paul DeGance is going to be on at 10:06. Then at 10:30, Pacific Legal Foundation, Tim Snowball, and some interesting topics, so don't go away. Zeb at the Ranch, I will be back in about 7 minutes. Good morning. Welcome back. Zeb at the Ranch with our major sponsor, with all the noise in the background. And, of course, our major sponsor is your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you with the best in tire buys. You stop in and see them today, along with some of our great advertisers, including Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Want to remind you again about our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox with their home comfort systems. Don't forget they're offering up to $1,700 in rebates on a new home comfort system. All you gotta do is just check it out at Ramsey Heating and Electric at 678-0459. Terms and conditions apply. See the dealer for detail. Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox. Right now, let's go to the phone line. And a gentleman that I believe has never been on this program. Yes?
I'm still trying to get him on. He's not answering on both lines.
He had better, because that's the time we were scheduled. You just keep trying, okay? And unfortunately, I can't help you on this end because Deanne's not here this morning.
No, no, that's okay. I will continue to try to call him.
I appreciate it. Just keep hammering away, buddy.
Will do, sir.
While we are waiting, oh my goodness, we didn't anticipate this. We've had a little problem here this morning with some of the guests not being able to be on the program, but I would appreciate your calls. So give us a jingle, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. We'll talk about anything you want to talk about for the half hour until we can get our gentleman, John Paul DeGantz, on our program here in just a little bit. Hopefully, if Wheels can get a hold of him. So once again, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Some of the other things that we were going to talk about this morning, Mike Crapo, we have been trying to get a hold of Mike and get him on this program. I mentioned that earlier this morning, and 2 times we had him scheduled, 2 times couldn't be here. There are just too many issues that we need to discuss, and you as the constituents, you need to know what's going on. I am going to do my best one more time for this next week to try to get him on the air and answer many, many questions that we have in regards to what's going on the southern border, what's going on with the Medicare for All, what's going on with our economy, what's going on with our national and international security. All of these things need to be addressed, and that's why we hired these people to represent us, is to get back with us via the many, many means that are available in the media, be it the print with a newspaper, be it the talk shows on radio, television interviews, etc., and let us know what's going on. Don't you feel like I do that we send them back to office? And I'm not picking on Mike solely and specifically. I'm just picking on all politicians, I think, in general. We send them back after we've elected them. They have come out, and glad-handed us and said, I want your vote, and I will do this, and I will provide you with this. And I personally have had so many of them call me and say, well, I'll do this, and we'll do this on a bi-weekly basis, or we'll take care of this. And all of that goes by the wayside, and quite frankly, isn't any more than balderdash. Once they're elected, I guess they forget some of their campaign promises. They forget their pledge to serve you and keep you informed. Now, I want to make a distinction there because I don't want to cloud over our great state legislators. I never will do that. Not on this program. Every single time that I have asked for Senator Kelly Anthon, Representative Fred Wood, Speaker of the House Scott Bedke, Clark Kaufman, the list goes on, they have always taken the time, made the time to tell you about the various stories and the various items that they're working on. I have the utmost respect for the people that represent us here in the state of Idaho. But I'm getting a little bit sick and tired on the national level, and there's always the excuse, well, he had this meeting to go to. Well, he had that. Well, this happened and everything. But really, why can't there be an allocation of time that really cannot be moved or changed or bothered by anything else? Kind of like a fireside chat going back 50, 60 years ago, of having politicians call and say, this is what I want to do. I want to answer all your questions. I'm going to take as much time as necessary or as much time as is available to answer those questions. That's not happening. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Well, I don't know if Rita said this to you the other day, but I was in there yesterday and spoke to her, and she is always...
Randy, you got to speak up, buddy. Randy, you got to speak up.
I don't know if Rita has said this to you or not, but she always knows something I don't. She's always got information. She is, she is so informed. She said there was a delegation that went back to Washington, D.C., and they met with Risch, and they met with Fulcher, but Crapo and guess who never had time, and they sent over some flunky to meet with them. And you know how that is. It doesn't mean a thing. It's just all show. It doesn't mean that you're getting the ear of Senator Crapo or Mike Simpson. You're just getting some guy who's going to go back, and he may tell him, he may not tell him. It won't mean a thing.
Yeah.
But a delegation came all the way from Idaho to D.C., and Simpson and Crapo didn't have time to meet with them?
You know, Randy, you have been really, really good. Wheels, there's feedback here on the line, buddy. You've been really, really good about calling the various senators and congressmen and other political people and personalities and letting them know your feelings about getting involved and what to do, what not to do. I'm frustrated, because they seem like they are almost using my program when they want to, but when we really need the information, they're nowhere to be found. They're kind of AWOL, away without leave, and it's starting to really frustrate me.
Well, the things that I've pinned Crapo down numerous times about speaking out and defending the president and other things, and he says stuff to me or in the group I'm with, and he always makes it sound like he's doing his job. But then I never, ever have any evidence of what he said he did. I don't know if he's lying. He just, I mean, I don't know, Deb. It's so frustrating. And,
well,
at least they could do is defend the president, talk about all the good things he's done. Simpson should be on the Freedom Caucus, but who knows what he is.
Well, the thing I'm getting upset about is they don't talk to you. They don't talk to me. They don't allocate time for the people that put them in the paid position of being a United States Senator or a United States Congressman, and to tell us that they don't have time on a Tuesday. Or if you make an appointment, they don't have time, they cancel on a Wednesday. Or you make it again on a reschedule, and they say on Monday, well, I'm sorry, you had to go to this meeting. Wait a minute. Who is more important to them than their constituents that put them in office?
Well, it shouldn't be nobody. But you see, they're so used to getting away with it, and they know they're going to be reelected. They really don't have to worry about it, and they don't really care. They do a little here and there, and maybe they do more than we think or know. I don't have time to keep up with what they're trying to do, but I know they don't accomplish much. Like I said, they could at least speak out and defend this president and what he's done, and because at least he's got some guts. Well, okay, Deb, I better hang up.
No, I appreciate your call, Randy. I really do, and we're on the same page. I thank you very much. It is frustrating. And again, I'm not picking on any one individual, even though there's one in particular I'd like to pick on. But they need to be more cognizant and I think more thankful to the people that have taken the time to go to the polls, put their X by their name, and vote them into an office. Then it's my duty as a talk show host to try to afford them the time on their schedule to come on my program and visit and answer questions. But when I continually call and then there's, well, we can't today, we got to change that. Well, we can't today, we got to change that. Well, this and that. No, there has to be some precedence, because you are the people that put them in office in the first place. You, the listeners and the constituents, are the most important people that they need to talk to and answer their questions. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. Love to hear from you, please. Our guest, Wheels, did you ever get a hold of him?
Nope, I'm still even trying, and I haven't gotten anything.
Both numbers, no answer, is that right?
Well, the second time around, I called the first number, and the secretary person answered. and they told me he was out of the office. And so I've already tried calling his cell phone about 3 different times, and still nothing.
Well, just keep calling. Why don't you call that lady back and tell her this isn't just a regular conversation. It's for a radio interview, not tomorrow, but right now.
Oh yeah, no, I did. Trust me, I even let him know and everything, and he of course told me, well, if you got his number, go ahead and try his cell.
Okay.
Which, like I said, I have, but...
It's frustrating, isn't it?
It is.
It's frustrating, and I appreciate your help. I'm sorry that we can't do more on this end. My lovely wife had to leave this morning, and she had an appointment and is not here to aid and assist us in trying to get this person captured, and it all falls on you, Wheels, so I apologize.
No, it's all right. It's... I've learned that it's just part of live radio, and hopefully you guys can reschedule, though.
The live radio, if there's any part of a job anywhere that will give you ulcers and heartburn, live radio will do it.
No kidding, and if you think you got a job that's nerve-wracking, let me tell you what it's like when something goes wrong on live radio.
People don't appreciate that. What you just said is really the truth, because I don't know why it is, and it happens to me almost on a weekly basis. You know this to be true. People will call maybe 5 minutes before they're scheduled to go on the air and say, oh, I can't go on today. And they have no concept of reality and being respectful of other person's time.
And that's very true, especially where radio, everything is so close knit, and everything is based off of time. And it's one of those things where you got to really be professional about it. You got to have your mind there.
Hey, by the way, I was going to ask you too. We're just kind of knitting things together here this morning because our guest didn't show up for this half hour. Have you been fishing yet this year, or don't you even have a license yet?
Honestly, I know it's only like $10, but I haven't even got my license yet. And every time I feel like I want to go out fishing, something always comes up. Either the wind's hauling butt, or we get rain like we have the past few days, and oh man, let me tell you, I'm really itching for it, though. I hope that I can go here.
All right, well, listen, I'll tell you what, keep plugging away at that number for about at least 2 or 3 more minutes. We'll see if we can catch somebody. I appreciate it. Calls are welcome. 436, boy, calls are welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. While I have just a moment, I want to remind you, too, about our friends over at Patterson's at 421 East Main in Burley. Hello, Curtis. Hello, Lorena. Hello, staff. All your electronic needs are right there. All your electronic needs at Patterson's, 421 East Main in Burley. Looking for a new TV set? Well, they've got Samsung, Sony, Toshiba. Oh, my goodness. Maybe you'd like to have a car stereo and speaker system. Well, they've got all the complete systems. They've got home theater systems. They've got video surveillance cameras. Oh, by the way, they've even got towing hitches. They've got everything right there at Patterson's, 421 East Main in Burley. Now, the number to call, ask questions if you have to, 678-6997. They're open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 6, closed on Sundays. Patterson's, 421 East Main in Burley. Really nice people. All right, again, calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Love to hear from you, so give us a jingle on the landline. Again, while I'm waiting, I'm going to tell you a little bit about a big sale that's coming up, and it's going to be on this Saturday, May the 18th, and it's going to be starting at 10:30 in the morning. It's the Chuck Benedict auction, and it's over at Filer. Hold on, caller, I'll be right there, I promise. And it's over in Filer in the Clover area at 3550 North, 1950 East, and from the Clover Christian School, go east for 2 miles. You'll see the signs and run right into it. Don't miss it. Chuck Benedict auction, and it's managed by the Bennett Boys Auction Service. They're going to have shop and tool supplies, backhoes, tractors, nice shop equipment, really nice shop equipment, guns, horses, horse tack and saddles, etc. All of this and much more this coming Saturday at 10:30 over in the Filer area, Clover area actually, managed by the Bennett Boys Auction Service. No sale too big, no sale too small. Yep. the Bennett boys, they sell them all. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. You know what's really frustrating is when you go somewhere, you got an appointment at 10 o'clock, you don't get in at 10:30. You know, I respect people's time. When I'm on your show, I'm always there half hour early. And if I want to get on the radio quick, all I got to do is eat your cookies.
Yeah, that's right. No, what you said is really true because now I'm really adopting a new philosophy on this. If I make an appointment for, let's say, 10 o'clock in the morning on my day off, and I get there always, you know me, George, I always get there at least 15 minutes early. I expect to give them maybe 15 minutes of lateness. After 15 minutes of lateness and nobody says anything to me, I'm gone. I get up and I leave. And if they want to talk to me again, they're going to have to reschedule because my time is just as important as theirs. And if they think for 5 seconds that they're going to bill me for a no-show after I've waited 15 minutes, that ain't going to happen.
No, they don't respect your time. There's not much respect for the person.
Well, it's just that my time is just as important as yours. Yours is just as important as mine. And we all have the same clock, 24 hours a day. And for some of these people, whether they're involved as attorneys or any kind of professional business where you have to make an appointment to get in and see them, I'll give them, like I said, 15 minutes. After that, they're on my time. I'm gone. They can reschedule.
Yeah, I've done that several times at St. Luke's or Twin, you know, got an appointment and wait 45 minutes to keep giving excuses. I just get up and walk out.
Well, I do too, and I will not wait. I'm not one of those that's going to sit there and 30 minutes goes by, 40 minutes goes by, 45 minutes go by. That's out of my time frame, and it's out of my scheduling for that day, and it messes me up. And I just get up and say, that's it, I'm gone, adios. I will not do that.
Yeah, well, you have a good day, sir.
I will, my dear friend. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. I don't know why it is that many people, many businesses, many certain occupations, that you have to make an appointment to get in and see various people. They just seem to take advantage of that. Now, in the medical business, I can understand where a doctor would be maybe tied up a little longer than a regimented, you've got an appointment at 10, we're going to be right there at 10. I mean, something could happen, circumstances could happen, and they might be running late. But when it gets to be 30 minutes after the appointment, A, there should be somebody coming in to explain to you what happened. B, I get up and walk out. I am not going to sit there. I remember a doctor's appointment here about 2 years ago. And Deanna and I went in to see the doctor. I had some problems with my knee. And we sat there, and we sat there, and we sat there, and no one came into that room to say anything. Finally, Deanne got up, walked out in the hallway to the meeting desk, if you will, and said, nobody's come in and said anything. Where are they? Oh, they all went to lunch. I went ballistic. We had been sitting in there for well over an hour, and, they all went to lunch. Not one single person came in and said anything to us. I promptly gathered up, and out the door I went. I will not waste my time when others are wasting it for me. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. How in the world did we get on that subject? I don't know. It's interesting, though, because time is everybody's weapon, and it can be their nemesis. And, boy, looking at my day planner, when I get off the air at 11 o'clock on most days, I mean, I've got 45 minutes to get here. I've got a meeting maybe during the lunch hour, and after the lunch hour is over, maybe at about 1:30, I've got another meeting. And when people do not have the respect for your time, I have no time for that, literally. All right, let's see. Coming up next week on Thursday. I keep telling you that we've got to support Lunch Bunch. Well, it's going to be ripping good next Thursday on the 23rd. We urge you to be a part of it. All you have to do is just show up at Denny's restaurant. It's easy. Just come on in. You don't have to buy a membership or anything else. I mean, come on in at 611 North Overland in Burley, Zeb's Lunch Bunch at Denny's restaurant, America's Diner. Man, we have fun. I mean, anywhere from between 50 and 75 people, and we're always looking for a lot more. And we give away a lot of door prizes, a lot of gift certificates. We just have a great, great time, and we'd like you to be a part of it. So put it on your calendar for May 23rd, next week at Denny's restaurant in Burley, Zeb's Lunch Bunch. Wheels, I'm going to send it over to you early for the break at the bottom of the hour, and then I'm hoping and praying that we can get my guest on for this next half hour, or I'm going to pack my little suitcase and leave. I'm going to pout and leave. I'll send it back over to you.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
And once again, I want to remind you, our dear friends at Ramsey Heating Electric and Lennox, with their home comfort systems tuned up and ready to go to help you. And they're offering up to $1,700 in rebates on a new home comfort system. All you have to do is call Ramsey Heating and Electric today at 678-0459 and check out all the great information. Terms and conditions apply. See dealer for details. Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox. Right now, let's go to the phone line, and I'm hoping and praying we have this guest on the air with us. We didn't do so well the last half hour, and right now we say good morning to Pacific Legal Foundation, guy that's been on our program in the past and look forward to the future. Tim Snowball, how are you?
Zeb, excellent. The answer to your prayers, apparently.
You know what? In the radio business, and I'm sure you're aware of this, when people are no-shows for a designated time, it makes you want to jump off a pier into the ocean and not come bobbing up.
Well, it sounds like the last time they'll be getting extended invitation.
Listen, Tim, you're going to be talking about a subject that absolutely is of interest to me because I feel this way. I don't feel that our education system, I don't feel like our elementary, high school, or college education system is teaching and telling the kids of today the sinister, absolutely dangerous values, if you will, of socialism. I don't think anybody really knows and understands how bad it is.
I would generally agree with you. I think it's a failure both of the education system to talk about the proper history of socialism. I mean, we're talking about a political philosophy responsible directly for the death and misery of millions and millions of people. That's not hyperbolic. That's absolute fact. And I think that, not only are kids not being educated on the actual truth of what occurred in the 20th century, but socialism takes on this kind of catch-all phrase for anything that's kind of politically popular on the left. And that's, one of the subjects I talk on in this piece in The Hill that I wrote that was published today, is how can you argue against socialism when the meaning seems to just shift around and they kind of make it the catch-all for anything that's popular in the left, in the current day?
When you write about this, socialism and regarding maybe perhaps versus capitalism, wow. I mean, we live in the greatest country in the world. We've had the greatest benefits afforded to us by the good Lord above and by our forefathers with their blood, sweat, tears, and lives. Why would someone, anyone, any politician, any group of politicians want to transition what we have and go to something that has never worked anywhere?
Well, I think that a lot of times, one of the first things you'll learn when you take, like a poli-sci class in college is that what politicians say and what they actually think are two different things, right? And it's important, I think, to, especially going into an election season, to be able to separate those two things out. What you hear on the campaign trail is not necessarily what you're actually hearing in private meetings or private conversations amongst these individuals. So, for example, socialism, I think, as an idea, for people who don't really know much about it, is popular because it sounds nice. We're going to give people things. We're going to be compassionate, right? We're going to provide. Society has a duty to provide for individuals, right? It all sounds kind of cuddly and nice until you get into the actual nitty-gritty of it. And as you mentioned, you know, when you get into the actual facts, it runs counter to basic economics. You know, Milton Friedman was apt to say, you know, that there's never been an economic system that's been discovered thus far by mankind that's capable of producing the material benefits of capitalism, right? And you look at this, it's almost this hockey stick style chart where you look at, you know, human well-being up until like the 18th century, and it's flat. It's almost flat for hundreds of years. And suddenly with the advent of capitalism and the free market, you see this spike in human benefit that goes almost vertical, right, up until the present age. And so these are facts. But again, you know, when you're dealing with people who aren't trafficking in facts, who are more interested in either the ideology or the political rhetoric, that's not always going to be the most effective way to counter, you know, their arguments.
Tim, is it because socialism with the, oh my goodness, one size fits all, it's all free, we're going to live in a utopian world, we're all the same, we're going to make a big bonfire and sing Kumbaya? Is that the allegiance, if you will, to socialism without people really looking at it and seeing how devious it is?
I think it's the kumbaya. I think that there's also a lot of economic resentment, right? And there's also some economic fallacies in there. One of the fallacies being, well, you know, like the idea that we have a fixed pie in society, that we have this static amount of wealth. And so anytime an individual like a Bill Gates or anyone else who's, you know, been Mark Zuckerberg, anytime one of these individuals is making this huge amount of wealth, they must necessarily be taking that away from people in the lower the lower classes, right? And that's just not really the way it works. You know, a rising tide lifts all boats. And so when you look at someone like a Mark Zuckerberg, who's a billionaire, I look at Mark Zuckerberg and I go, this individual has created immense value for society. There's no way that any amount of wealth that he has now can capture even a fraction of how much wealth and value he's created for society through Facebook, like a Bill Gates, Windows. So when I look at it, it's kind of counterintuitive, but I wish there were more millionaires and billionaires in American society, because that means they will have created so much value that's how they're being rewarded is through their dollars. And so, I mean, there's a whole laundry list of ways that you can approach this question. I mean, the way that I do it in this piece is I say, look, people just kind of shift around their definition of socialism. They won't kind of define it precisely. So the best way to approach it is to go, what socialism is not. And as you mentioned, it's not new. This has been tried time and time and time again. And, you know, the argument that the new socialists will make is, those weren't real socialist, you know, societies. Those were just, they never got it right. And so if we could just get all the conditions to line up perfectly, then it would work out just fine, right?
Let me ask you this, though, Tim, and again, correct me, because you're the expert on this, and I can tell you know far, far more about the breakdown and the explanation of socialism far better than I. But would you say, in layman's terminology, that socialism is a crutch for those that are too lazy to perpetrate their assets and make something of themselves?
Well, I mean, I think that's definitely an argument. I think that, you know, what you can do is you can kind of even take a step farther back from that, because what's important are values, right? There were certain values and certain ideals upon which the country was founded, the United States, right? The main thrust of those values was individual rights, that individuals, not groups, possess rights, and that those rights cannot be violated by the government. And then the just end of government then is to secure those rights. And this was a groundbreaking proposition in the 18th century, and arguably today, you know, given current trends. And so there's an inversion, though, when it comes to people who are from more of a leftist perspective, or who are claimed to be, you know, supporters of socialism, which is the idea of equality. And now, don't get me wrong, the founders believed in equality, but they believed in the equality of opportunity. They believed in the equality before the law. And what the new socialists get into is an equality of outcome. And I think that runs directly counter not only to, as I mentioned, the ideals upon which the country was founded, but basic economic facts.
Tim, why do you think today, with the Bernie Sanders and the Alexandria Ocasio-Cortezes, Kamala Harrises, and others, there seems to be such a resurgence and such a parading behind them, supporting socialism, and such animosity against capitalism? Why? Where is this coming from, and how is it being fueled as a fire?
Well, when you look at the actual product that politicians are selling, for example, right? If you use the analogy of like them selling something in the free market, what politicians are selling is rhetoric, right? It's arguments designed to convince people or to tap into people's, biases or their passions and gain their support, especially when it comes to politicians like Bernie Sanders, who are considered to be populists. And so one of the reasons I think you can look at the resurgence of socialism is because those ideas are popular, and they're popular because most people don't really understand how economics works. They don't understand how much better our lives are now compared to 20 years ago, and how much better the lives were then compared to 40 years before that, or 100 years or 200 years. We are living in a veritable material paradise. The human, being has never seen anything like current society. There is more access to goods, to services, to medicines, to technology. The most poor American, compared to the majority of the rest of the world, is living like a king. Mm-hmm. I mean, we'd put like a French monarchy to shame with the level of opulence that we live in now compared to several hundred years ago. But the thing is, like, that's not easy to see unless you're looking for it. Economists, of course, right, or people who are paying attention to this stuff, and read the studies, they're up on what's going on, right? But for the average American who's just trying to put food on the table, or who might be struggling at work, or trying to support a family, it's not as easy to see those economic facts. And so I think it's easy to be kind of hoodwinked by some of this rhetoric from the new left.
Okay, let's start how we can change this thing and change the concepts and bring it back into the old days of the Saturday Evening Post, if you will, with the cover stories of showing the families and showing people being involved and enjoying going to work and making something out of their career. It's got to start with education. It's got to start in our grade schools, high schools, colleges, and everything. And that, to me, is a snake pit. How are we going to change that?
Yeah, it's incredibly tough, right? Because to the degree that the government becomes involved, in the provision of standards for public education, you really see a lot of distortions there. And I absolutely agree with you. I had a couple of teachers when I was younger who were absolutely essential to awakening this desire, in me for American history and for American government and for politics that wound up staying with me for a lifetime, all the way through law school and now, in my current career as a constitutional litigator. So I absolutely agree with you that it begins with education. But, I'm as ignorant as you are of the exact steps we need to take in order to achieve that. What I would hope in the short term is that, Americans will give a little bit more thought to the politicians that they're giving their votes to. Make these individuals earn your votes. Listen to what they're actually saying. It's not always a matter of them promising goodies or promising to enact a policy or a law that you personally favor. That's a good thing, right? But what we really need to be concerned with are the constitutional mechanisms by which they're enacting those policies, and whether the Constitution even gives them the authority in the first place to take a certain action. From my perspective, that's the more fundamental question. And my hope would be that Americans would realize that the things that make the country unique, these ideas of individual rights, constitutionally limited government, and the rule of law, they are just as revolutionary now as they were 200 years ago. And, if we're going to preserve these institutions in our system of life and way of government, we're going to have to put up a fight. And it's not going to be a matter of just sitting back and allowing events to just transpire. We're going to have to get in there, and we're going to have to take action individually, whether that's in our own neighborhoods or at work or any way we can. As long as we're doing something then I think that there's hope for the future.
Well, I mentioned education a moment ago, whether it's in the elementary grades all the way to the university level. But there's another problem in this country that absolutely needs a big eraser and needs to be cleaned up, and that's the news media itself. Very unfortunately, people still today are subjected to limited amounts of news, limited amounts of time to listen to the news and perceive the news, and they will buy into, with a naivete attitude, anything that sounds good. So there again, you're talking about the wild-haired Bernie Sanders and the Kamala Harrises and others with socialism, and it's no wonder that the American public is gullible.
Yeah, I remember when I was first becoming politically interested. Of course, my generation was kind of the 9/11 generation, unfortunately, and so I grew up during the George W. Bush years and the war on terror and everything. And I remember that was when I first really got interested in politics and the way the government functions. And so I was a veritable CNN junkie. You know what I mean? I used to watch that stuff all day long, talk about it. I was interested in it. I was reading books about the media. And eventually, once I got back into school and I was in law school and everything, that kind of tapers off. And now, every once in a while, I'll catch a little clip from CNN or MSNBC or one of these channels, and it's unwatchable, right? This is not news in the classical Edward R. Murrow or Walter Cronkite sense of them, kind of opining on what the daily, what's happened. I mean, this is just, they bring these people in to sit on these panels. Nobody has any idea who these people are, never heard of them before. They're the experts they bring in, right? And it's just them sitting around in a circle and talking. You know what I mean? I want to know what actually happened. Just give me the facts, right? I think that the American people are smart enough and capable enough of making their own judgments on the events of the day. They don't need experts to explain to them how they should perceive a given event. I think they're fully capable of doing that. Of course, the media is owned by large corporations, and those corporations have their own incentives for profits. So I'm not sure exactly how you fix that. I would say that if there are, listeners in your audience who are interested in alternative forms of media, those smaller outlets are available either in print or online. It's just a matter of making the effort to go out and seek them out. But I think that the effort ultimately is worth the reward, because you wind up getting a more balanced perspective on the events of the day.
Absolutely. One issue that right now to me is so prominent that we have to defeat the thinking of this issue, and that's Medicare for all. I'm not trying to act like I'm a know-it-all or I'm the professor in charge of all the information, but after years and years of study as to the single-payer effects as to what it would do with our health care in this great United States of America, it would be devastating, not just for the health care received and or dished out to the public, but also to the extreme costs and the taxation. That is socialism at its worst.
And I agree. I actually got to speaking on this topic recently with a friend that I was spending time with, and she made the argument. And I think that ultimately many people who espouse socialist ideals or talk about it, whether they're aware of it or not, they're not evil people. They're not bad people. They just don't know what they're talking about a lot of times, right? And so she's making this argument going like, how can we have such a wealthy country when people don't have access to basic services like health care? That's the reason. I just think it's not fair, and that unfairness leads me to believe that we should have like a Medicare for all, right? And, Frederick Bastiat, the celebrated economist, spoke about this at length. It's what he called the seen and the unseen, which is to say, when you have an economic relationship or an economic policy, right, there's always going to be seen effects and unseen effects. So for something like Medicare for all, the seen effects would be, oh, well, look, we've provided, more medical coverage to a greater number of people. That's great. But it's really the unseen effects that we should be spending most of our time on, because that's when you get a lot of the more insidious distortions. I'll give you an example. So there's a system in place for public education called Pell Grants for higher education, right, which are grants by the federal government to help people offset the costs of going to college. These have been in place since the 1960s. So to the degree that you can study this, you look at the effect, the relationship between the provision of Pell Grants and the cost of tuition of higher education. And it's almost a perfect correlation between the two. Now, the seen portion of that policy would be, well, look, we're more and more people are going to college. That's fantastic. The unseen effect of that is it has a distorting effect on the price that they're charging for education, because if you have a guaranteed stream of income coming from the federal government, what incentive do you have as a college administrator to keep costs low? The more you raise costs, you know there's going to be guaranteed income coming in from the federal government. And this, applies all across the economy, veritably anything you look at. When you see the government pumping money artificially into a system, there are going to be distorting effects. The price will go up, and then, unfortunately, politicians will step in and co-opt that price distortion as an argument for further intervention. It's really a vicious cycle.
Tim, last thought here this morning. I've got about a minute and a half left in this segment. How worried are you personally, on a scale of 1 to 10, for more acceptance of socialized ideas through the Democratic Party leading up to the 2020 elections?
Well, it's a good question, Zeb. I mean, I take solace in the fact that I have a lot of faith in the American people, right? I am a fan of the American people. I have great faith in their ability to kind of separate the wheat from the chaff when it comes to a lot of nonsense like this. And so, I think that the Democrats are going to go hard, on these socialist ideas, but I think ultimately most Americans have the common sense to know that the way that they're describing things is not actually the way that the world works. And so ultimately, at least in the short term, I'm not terribly worried about the spread of socialism. I think that the electoral results in the upcoming election will probably most likely maintain the status quo, which I think in the short term is going to be a good thing. But ultimately, as I mentioned, I think Americans are going to do the right thing. But as I said, it's really going to take individuals acting in their own communities, even their own families, even talking to their children who are in college, or even their neighbors, or their friends from church. It's going to take a real effort in order to combat this stuff, but it's a duty of citizenship, and it's a duty, I think, that most Americans are going to be happy to accept.
Let me tell you something, folks. This man is always welcome on my program. A plethora of information. Tim Snowball talking about socialism, the ills of incorporating it into our society. With the Pacific Legal Foundation, Tim does an excellent job. Tim, how can people follow more stories with Pacific Legal Foundation?
Yeah, it'd be fantastic. If you all want to go on our website, you can go on pacificlegal.org. That has all of our cases, our initiatives, our legislative activities, so it's great to go on there. We're also on all of these social media platforms. You can follow us on Twitter. You can go on Facebook, and we've also got a YouTube channel with some great videos on there, and it's all available for you to check out.
All right, Tim Snowball, you're the best. Appreciate it, man. Thank you so much.
Talk to you soon.
All right, sir. Hey, it's time for the weather forecast, and, of course, brought to you by Scarrows Meats. I'm running a little bit late again. Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Telephone number to give them a call for all the delicious meats for maybe your graduation ceremonies or maybe a family reunion, company picnic, whatever. Boy, they've got all the pork ribs and the tri-tips and the chicken and all the different bacons and the breakfast sausages. Everything is phenomenal. Scarrows Meats, Don Scarrow and the crew at 331 North Road, Jerome. We'll tell you more right after Gina has the weather.
It appears that a storm system is moving into the valley and might be sticking around for a couple of days. Here's a look at your weather forecast. For today, partly sunny skies, expecting a high of 79. Winds out of the south at about 7 miles an hour. For tonight, isolated thunderstorms, mostly cloudy skies in the early evening hours. We are expecting a low of 52. For tomorrow, those clouds are going to stick around. We do have a 30% chance of showers off and on throughout the day with a high of 72. Definite rain showers for tomorrow night, about a 90% chance. Temperatures dropping to about 44. Then for Friday, mostly cloudy skies, 70% chance of rain with a high of 54. And then hopefully for Saturday, we might see a little bit of sunshine, partly sunny, and a high of 60. That's a look at your weather forecast for Debbie Duran.
Thank you, Gina. Brought to you by Scarrows Meats, our weather forecast at 331 North Road, Jerome. Don Scarrow and the crew, 324-7657. They are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time at Scarrows Meats. Want to remind you, too, about our Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, our major sponsor of Zeb at the Ranch, and thank you for all you do to keep us on the air and keep us going. Thank you very much also for all the tires, all the brake service, all the front end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries, everything right there at the 7 locations of your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Right now, they've got so many tires on sale with all the different tread designs, all the sizes for your car, pickup, SUV, horse trailer, boat trailer, whatever. I urge you to stop in, save money, and drive safely. And again, all the 7 locations are ready to help you with the best in service. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Trent on Overland in Burley. None better. The best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. We're going to get out of here and say goodbye for today, and we'll be back tomorrow morning at 8:06 on Zeb at the Ranch, where we always say the way things were are the way things ought to be, and the world needs more cowboys. God bless. Have a good day.